What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. And in today's video, we're taking a look at the first battles I've played here in the new season of Timeless Travels with the newly buffed Steel Wing Skarmory, now the formal #1 overall Pokemon on the PVPoke rankings. Now, Mud Boys have always scored very well with Skarmory. One of the most important things that I want you all to remember about these early season battles is, yes, not only are you literally battling everybody and anybody, so the teams may not always make sense, but also it's a very good time to test out things that you maybe want to get used to, haven't tried before. And quite personally, I have never really been one to play Swampert. So I've busted out my Skarmory here for the first time in probably over 2 years at this point. I never use this thing. And Swampert is something that I've just never really gotten good with. So here we're going to try these battles out. Hopefully you're still with me here, as it was a bit of a lengthy intro. But let's get into the battles here in the Great League. Checking out Steel Wing Skarmory here in the Great League. So I'm talking about. All right, I want to be honest though. All right, I did not realize that this thing had Ember. So as soon as I saw fire, I switched to my Sableye, okay? I don't think I had like 1 or 2 good leads with Skarmory, okay? I want you all to understand, and that's the title of this video, is why is Skarmory #1? Because it has a Nuke and Brave Bird. Steel Wing is now a Poison Jab clone, which makes it extremely consistent. But ladies and gentlemen, Skarmory is what it is. It is an RPS, it is a hard win, hard lose kind of Pokemon, okay? Against something like this, Jellicent, which I'm not really sure why my opponent top lefted there. Maybe they didn't think that I was going to be able to beat them. But this is what I'm talking about, right? Hard win, hard loss, especially when you get a Bastiodon, okay? So I'm going to dip into my Sableye. Opponent comes in with a Poliwrath. And this is not a dominant matchup for either Pokemon because I basically have to land a return in order to win this matchup. So I'm going to bait. Hopefully the opponent knows that I'm, going to throw a move here. I'm essentially expecting this to be an Icy Wind Poliwrath figure. They're going to shield everything, and they're going to go for Scald instead. But they still get the attack drop, so I wonder if maybe they're running Dynamic Punch instead. Regardless, back to Skarmory, though. Skarmory is a win hard, lose hard Pokemon, so if you end up getting a bad matchup, you're going to stay in that bad matchup unless you're able to flip switch advantage, which is why we have Sableye on the safe swap here, one of my favorite safe swaps in the Open Great League. Very, very useful tool. Little critter's always able to get the switch advantage here. As we've seen, we win the 2 shields by baiting and going for this return here. Gonna knock out this Poliwrath. All shields are down, and the opponent now comes in with Bastiodon to load up on energy. I cannot hard swap out. I have to let them farm down with the Bastiodon because I can't risk swapping out. And this is something I want. This. I'm gonna stop it because I want to explain this. Okay, if I swap out into my Swampert, okay? They may have something in the back like a grass type, okay? Then my Swampert's gone and I have no chance of winning this game. If this is an alignment-based game, it means I have to keep Skarmory off of the Bastiodon at all costs. So by swapping in the Swampert hard like that, I would have given up switch advantage. Opponent has an Iron Sword to Swampert in the back, then I lose, right? So I have to let them farm down the Sableye so that I can maintain an alignment of Swampert onto the Bastiodon and Skarmory against whatever's in the back. So it'll continue here. Opponent just decides to... Alright. I'm going to assume that they probably had Victory Bell or something in the back and they identified that Skarmory was going to destroy them. So, Crocalor on the lead, another really awesome lead, and I realized, wait a minute, this Crocalor's got 1120 CP. So, this is, again, what I was talking about very beginning, right? We may fight anybody and anybody, okay? I'd never treat these games any different, though. I don't care if your Pokemon's got 1500 CP, 1100 CP. I know that I would like to treat this opponent with as much respect and as much skill as I would any other player. So, and I mean, the Crocalor is still a problem for my Skarmory, right? Like, I can't let that sit on my Skarmory. That Incinerate, or is it Ember? I don't know if it's Incinerate or Ember. But anyway, my opponent's gone 2 shields down. I figure I'll come in with my Swampert here and look to try and get a nice healthy farm down. Opponent immediately swaps though, but they come into a Mudshot Toxicroak, so I don't know who wins CMP. I'm pretty sure it's I don't know. I think that was a CMP. It looked like it to me. So I go for the Hydro Cannon. Opponent comes back in with a Crocalor. They do have the Incinerate fast move, and that means I'm going to get a nice fat farm down, and the opponent has an Ampharos in the back. Alright, so, yeah, they had something in the back that Skarmory could have dealt with, but gonna be able to take the KO. Kaboom! And the Kaboom. Good game, regardless. I mean, and I usually lose most of my games in my first set. I don't know, man. I just get some bad luck with them, but the opponent has a Quillfish, so no Skarmory actually finally gets to do something, and then I realize it's an 800 CP Quillfish, and yeah, this doesn't really feel like a skill-based game at this point, unfortunately for the opponent. I mean, they're just playing with what they have, probably just doing some research, trying to get some, get some Stardust. Completely respect it. But because I had such a dominant lead and I was able to basically farm down, I'm going to go for the Brave Birds here. I'm not going to pull my punches. I figure at this point, I do have enough of an advantage, and I know that me saying, like, I'm still going through my thought process, even though I realize that it might sound kind of scummy, given that the player is literally playing with, Pissimian at 1200 CP, like, just stuff that they've just caught and threw in a battle team, but I'm still going to give my thought process because it helps people. And the opponent wasn't tapping. This is not a skill game, okay? This is, unfortunately, it is what it is, right? Opponent goes down, the Pissimian goes down, they have a Heracross in the back. I mean, it's no contest. I mean, the person did as well as they could, and I guarantee that that's what happened. They're just here for fun. They're not competitive to the point where, So regardless, good game to that trainer, a well fought. Okay, this pissed me off right here. Hisuian Electrode. Now we're back in the real, like, things that are powered up. And I had somebody, we did these battles on stream. And if you don't watch me on stream, that's okay. But try to join us if you can at 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday, Friday, and Wednesday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We stream live Go Battling. And I give an extra stream on Sunday to the Patreon Discord, so if you'd like to join that, link in the description of the pinned comment, as well as a bunch of other goodies you get by being in that Discord. So, Hisuian Electrode. Somebody in my chat was like, bro, you're going to see Hisuian Electrode. I'm just like, no way, dude. There it is. There it is. Ultimate core breaker for this team. So I go into my Sableye here, and I realize that my win condition here is probably not necessarily winning Switch, but finding a way to land an Earthquake or a Brave Bird into that Electrode. So we both have a shield still. Opponent is going to be able to come in with a Pokemon here, but I don't know if they're going to be able to necessarily farm me down with anything. So they come in with a Medicham, realizing that they want to have the Electrode up against the Skarmory, which makes sense. It's a good idea. Unfortunately for them, though, they are going to take some damage on the Medicham, so they're forced to use their final shield here. And my Skarmory can come in, and my whole hope here, again, they're going to have Dynamic Punch, they're going to have Psychic, Ice Punch, whatever. I'm going to let it come through. I'm going to save the shield to deal with the Electrode, because that is by far the worst thing on my plate. I'm going to land a Brave Bird one way or the other on this thing. Now the opponent immediately swaps in, and they go for a charge move. I'm like, there's no way they go for Energy Ball, right? So I have to shield. It has to be a Wild Charge. Opponent swaps and goes for the Wild Charge, and I'm able to hit the Brave Bird, but because the defense went down, and this is actually neutral damage, I can go for the Sky Attack, take out the Electrode, and then have some energy left over to hopefully get to a move versus the Medicham, but I lose CMP here. So now, because they've thrown the Ice Punch as soon as they got it, because I was counting, I was making sure I knew they were at 6, we come in with Swampert, get to a Hydro Cannon before they're able to get to the last move. And I promise from this point on, the games are actually competitive, okay? There's always, everybody knows it. In rank 1, there's always some really weird stuff, and then there's meta stuff. But from here on, I promise, we're rank 2 now. Still fighting some rank 1 players, but we get a Clodsire in the lead, one of the only good leads I've actually gotten with this team. But the team itself is solid. Now, if you don't have a Shadow Swampert or a regular Swampert, for whatever reason, new player, you don't have it, that's fine. Whiscash is an amazing replacement now that it has Scald. You can look forward to the video on that coming up in probably sometime in the middle of the week here, as I'm trying to kind of upload them in chronological order based on when I used them. So going for that Brave Bird there, just trying to get some bigger chip damage off on this Clodsire, as I would really, I don't know. I mean, if they're weak in the back to Skarmory, then there might be something good for me here. So I'm going to go ahead and shield up. I just want to get rid of the Clodsire, and then now I swap into my Sableye, just to look to draw anything out here, potentially. My opponent's staying in, going for more energy, and so what I'm going to do here is throw a Foul Play before they can get to a charge move. They let it go, and then they come in with a Greninja. And I'm like, okay, so then maybe there's still something weak in the back to Skarmory, right? Because this is actually a really good matchup for Greninja into the Skarmory, because anything that resists Steel Wing, and let's talk about that for a sec, okay? Steel Wing, all right? Steel as a type is very good defensively, but awful offensively. All right, fire, water, electric, other steel. Right? There's quite a few types that take resisted damage from steel, and unfortunately, a lot of them are in the Great League. Swampert, literally any water type, any electric type, any fire type. All of those types are going to take resisted damage from Steel Wing. So those could technically be good matchups, and the opponent has an Umbreon in the back. So I have a feeling that maybe they were just playing under the play style of just stay in, play the matchup, and just go, instead of trying to swap around. But it would have made a lot more sense for this trainer to swap in the Umbreon against the Skarmory and try to swap in that way, right? You have two better answers in the back. The Clodsire is walled by Skarmory. So you have a better answer in the back. Two of them, rather, so you safe swap immediately. That's kind of a team strategy. As this player's running a double dark sort of team, that would be the expectation of this kind of team strategy is you see them swap in to their safe swap in order to try and gain alignment or advantage and let the other dark type sweep. They would have actually done well had they done that, I think. Even though my entire team has play into the Clodsire, I throw an extra mud shot here because for some doofus reason, I thought that they still had something in the back. No, we KO'd, and I'm like, at this point, I'm like, oh wait, there's nothing left. Okay. So I'm a doofus, and I own that. So this is now a bad matchup for Skarmory. I mean, it already kind of was because of the fact that, I mean, just for the simple fact that you have Air Slash and Sky Attack got nerfed. Now it's no longer that good for Skarmory. But even with Steel Wing, now that that damage is resisted, I'm basically going for a Hail Mary here. I'm going to get a shield advantage if I can get it, and take out the Swampert or come close to it otherwise. And the opponent does smartly shield up. So with a shield advantage, I come in with my Sableye, looking to generate, once again, just some sort of an advantage. I want to leave the Swampert with shields, so that's why I decided not to shield. Plus, I kind of expected them to throw Hydro Cannon, which they very smartly threw Earthquake, and can now just farm me down. So they double shield the Swampert here, and then come in with a Mandibuzz. And I can't make it to the return. I go down with the move, unfortunately. So I'm kind of not having a good time right now, if you can tell. So I'm looking to absorb this damage on my Skarmory. I am really hoping that because the opponent just threw the Earthquake, they don't have any energy on that Swampert. So I'm going to go for the Brave Bird here as they're looking to farm me down anyway. If I give them a little bit less farm, might be doing okay. Plus, Swampert really doesn't want to take too many charge moves here, so I swap immediately in to try and get to a Hydro Cannon before they can get to multiple moves. But the opponent baits me with an Aerial Ace very well here. And then they're going to go for the Dark Pulse, I imagine, after this, because you want to make sure you get the damage off. So because I know they just threw all their energy, I can farm up a little bit extra here, and looking for on 4 Hydro Cannons right before they should get to another Aerial Ace. I'm going to let loose the Hydro Cannon, takes out this Mandibuzz. The opponent comes in with a Swampert, but they have a move. I didn't think they had a move. They have so much energy, dude. Swamperts always have so much energy. So I'm going to farm up a little bit extra, go for my Hydro Cannon here. I'm going to be able to take out the Swampert, and then I'm just hoping that whatever they have in the back gets one shot by Hydro Cannon, which it doesn't, unfortunately. It's Toxapex, and I realized at that point I'm done. I got nothing. They won. I was not getting to the Earthquake, unfortunately. I might have been able to make it to the Earthquake if I had taken out the Swampert sooner, but it's hard to say because how much damage Poison Jab does versus how much Mud Shot does. I don't know the math exactly. It's probably close to the same given the typings, even though it's resisted. Poison Jab does more damage naturally. So my opponent running a quick attack with Fire Punch, it looks like here, on their Diggersby. So I'm going to go for the Brave Bird here and dip out into Sableye. Because they're running quick attack, Sableye does double resist the normal type damage, and if they're running Scorching Sands and Fire Punch, then I don't really have too much to worry about here. So they're going to go for that. I'm going to take a drink of water because you got to stay hydrated, folks. Drink some water. It's good for you. Foul Play is going to get the first shield, and at this point, I realize the opponent may very well be weak in the back to Sableye. Maybe the Ghost type or something in the back. So we'll see what they have. I'm going to let the Scorching Sands go. Again, I'm double resisting this damage. The opponent does come in with a Sableye of their own, and I am lucky enough not to have been debuffed this whole time. So I'm going to be able to do some damage here against the Sableye. And I'm coming back in with the Skarmory here, because those Shadow Claws would rip right through my Swampert, and a Foul Play would hurt and force me to shield. I can at least live a Foul Play here on my Skarmory. Gonna go for the Sky Attack here and either get the last shield from the opponent or take out the Sableye here, and now I'm immediately swapping into Swampert. Opponent's got a Deoxys defense form in the back, and this is actually dangerous, even though this is typically a good matchup for the Swampert. Deoxys has a lot of play here. The opponent goes for a Psycho Boost, and I realize they're probably about to swap out. Diggersby, I don't remember how much energy it has exactly, so I throw right away just to get rid of it. The opponent's going to come back in with their Deoxys, and I have to be able to land an Earthquake here. It's the only way I'm going to win this game. So I'm going to just Hail Mary, throw the Earthquake, even though I probably could have gone for 3 Hydros, but the opponent lets it go. And now we're in a farm down race here. Who's going to be able to win the farm down race? Is it going to be me or this Deoxys? I don't know, but I got to shield this up, and I'm just hoping that maybe this will allow me to get a catch, but the opponent was only one away from the Psycho Boost, so unfortunately, they are going to shield this up. I can't swap out, and they're going to throw the Psycho Boost, and now it's going to be a matter of who wins this farm down. Is it going to be Skarmory, or is it going to be the Deoxys? Oh, by one turn bring, and I think I lose it. Good game. I think that would have been a tie, or it was 1 HP on the Deoxys. But anyway, you couldn't ask for a worse matchup. It's even a Water Gun Lantern. So, I see Water Gun Lantern, and at this point, I remember the team from last season that Zionic hit Legend with being the Double Ghost Fire line. And I'm not going to assume that's what this is because, again, new season, new meta, might not even be the same things. My opponent full sends a Thunder, which absolutely baffled me. But I still respect it because even if it was a Surf or a Thunderbolt, that still would have done enough damage. I need to keep my Sableye healthy to try and keep it off of the Lantern, and they come in with the Skeledirge, and at this point, I am almost certain. A lesson in team reading. If you know some popular teams, if you know some popular teams, you can usually piece together the rest of the team. Opponent has a Skeledirge. They've probably got the Alolan Marowak. I just need to time my moves correctly. Opponent has a Shadow Ball, or went for the Shadow Ball, and now they're going to go for 2 Incinerates. We see MP tie as they're going to go for the Disarming Voice next, as I believe it's still 3 to the first, and the second Shadow Ball, right? There we go. Now the opponent either comes back in with the Lantern, or they are going to show me their third. I'm going to immediately go for the KO on the Lantern here, as if it is the Alolan Marowak, as I suspect, it will be one-shot by Shadow Swampert, and there she blows! There's the Alolan Marowak. And I'm going to go for the good timing here because they would need a Shadow Bone to KO. And I actually don't know if this fully one-shots or if it's like just barely. So I'd rather take the safe bet and go for the damage. That's a good game. Well played. All right, we're getting into the next battle here. We've got a Dugong on the lead. This is not ideal by any means because everything that I swap into here would take an Icy Wind, and that would be a lot of damage. So my opponent goes for the Icy Wind immediately here. And I'm going to go ahead and let it go. Icy Wind not going to do too much damage, but I'm going to go for the Brave Bird now, even though my attack has been debuffed. I would rather get the damage and then swap to Sableye, and hopefully they swap out or they stay in to debuff me, which is going to give me a lot of energy to lead off with here as we get into the next matchup. The opponent comes in with a Beedrill. This is not an answer directly to Sableye, as the Poison Jab damage is resisted, and the opponent is, Beedrill's still pretty squishy. They have to respect this, right? So I could just let this go, and I do. They go for the X-Scissor, takes me out. I'm gonna come in with my Skarmory because I completely wall this moveset. X-Scissor, poison damage by Sludge Bomb or by Poison Jab, and we're completely resisting X-Scissors, then they just throw X-Scissor. So the opponent allows me to greatly overfarm because of Beedrill's pacing. It's about 5 or 6, I believe, to the move, to the Poison Jab. And the opponent has a Mandibuzz in the back, so what I look to do here is go for the Brave Bird for some chip damage or the shield, and then I come in with my Swampert here in order to get started on energy. Have 2 shields. Typically, we're looking pretty good here, but I have to remember the opponent still has Dugong in the back, so I'm going to have to account for that as I'm over-farming, as I can still take it out with a Hydro Cannon. I'm not throwing Earthquake here for any reason. I'm strictly throwing Hydro Cannon, but I absolutely have to be mindful of it. And the fact that the opponent has no energy on their Dugong will allow me to overfarm by quite a bit more. So I'm able to go for more energy than I normally would have. Plus, the opponent still has to get to 2 charge moves in order to KO. I should only need 2 Hydro Cannons in order to KO. So here we go. After this, 2 more, I should say. But the opponent will get to another move here. I'm going to go for the good timing here. Make sure you want to throw on 1, 4, 7, or 10 in with a 2-turn move into a 3-turn move. And that's going to basically be the CMP tie. The opponent and I are now exchanging charge moves. And now I got to go for it. I got to go for the Hydro Cannon. My opponent not able to get to another charge move. That's going to seal up this second set here as we take this game and grab a 5-0 and a 3-2 to start the season off. Not a bad start. Certainly had worse, as the rank 1 battles, sometimes they just get me, man. I think that's the first 5-0 in my first set that I've had ever. Usually I lose the first game and I call myself washed. So it's been a joy to run this team, though. Skarmory Mudboy Core is going to be everywhere this season, and honestly, I'm really seeing Great League become an RPS fest, and I kind of hate it, not going to lie. But we'll see how it all unfolds. It's early season. We don't know exactly how everything is going to come out. And I'm going to appreciate y'all for watching this video. Thank you so much. We'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.